What was going through your mind on the 1st of January 2020? Was it your excitement or fear of our coming election year? Or maybe the growing tensions between America and Iran? Possibly the Australian bushfires? I can tell you one thing. It definitely wasn't anticipation of a global quarantine, isolation from one another for months on end. Most of us found out about it the same way.
I think I remember hearing about it in January, um, but it felt like it was so far off, it didn't really have anything to do with us.
I actually have two clippings from the newspapers in late February and early March talking about how United States officials were afraid that the virus might spread outside of China.
Suddenly, life changed drastically. What we knew as normal was flipped on its head.
I had just started my job again, and that was very frustrating and very stressful. Plus, on top of the stress of what's happening and are we going to get sick and do we need to disinfect our cereal boxes? How do you go grocery shopping when there's no groceries on the shelves? That stuff was really hard.
The coronavirus spread across the globe, forcing us to stay home from a fear of becoming the first in your community to get it. Slowly, we began to adapt. As we grew used to the restrictions of quarantine, we started to realize what we had taken for granted.
But I really just miss my friends.
I love baseball. It's killing me to not have Phillies games to watch every night. Other than that, just the ability to go see friends, being able to go out to eat once in a while. Maybe not in that order.
This whole situation isn't something I want to make light of, but it's honestly not all bad. The new exciting is when you wake up to find a pretty flower freshly bloomed outside your window, or when your next baking project comes out just right. And I hate to be that guy, but it's kind of nice to be forced to slow down and appreciate the simpler things in life, you know? Because that's really what this is all about, finding happiness wherever you can.
It's beautiful. It's springtime. It's probably the most beautiful spring that we've had in years that I can ever remember, actually. And it feels like this is a gift that we get to slow down and really observe spring every day as it unfolds. And I love the way that nature has rebounded. And I love the fact there's no traffic noise. If life goes back to what it was before, I'll be sad.
It's cool that we're all, like, everybody in the world is in this problem, or having this problem.
And being away from everything doesn't mean we're devoid of new experiences.
I hated TikTok, and now I love TikTok. And I hate myself for loving TikTok because that's all I do.
In some ways, we even have the ability to come out of this better than we went in.
I hope it helps us recognize that we need to be better stewards of the environment. The fact that in India you can see the Himalayas, then that in China there's not as much air pollution. If just a month can make that big a difference in the environment, I hope we learn that we can make a big difference ourselves.
So, what will the future look like?
We're not going to go right back to where we were. We can't go right back to where we were. Maybe more people will continue to work from home.
It's gonna take years to go back to normal.
There will be a new normal at some point.
And that's just something people, including myself, don't really grasp.
I don't think there'll be any one moment where it is announced as being over. So it'll be a slow ramp up. I just heard this morning that we're in the second inning of a 9-inning game.
I've heard a lot of people draw conclusions between the COVID pandemic and September 11th attacks on New York. But I really hope there's one key difference between the two by the end of it all. Instead of learning to distance ourselves and fear what we don't understand, I want to take away a feeling of camaraderie, a lesson in togetherness that can only be learned from forced separation.
I think there are a lot of things that people have rediscovered about baking, making things, about nature, that I hope will stay, that will last into a new normal.